JoJo Siwa is being accused of firing a young disabled teen from her girl group XOMG Pop.
You're not gonna sit in the studio, pout in the corner, be a bitch to my mom, and then expect me to like you.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Ooh, my hair's a mess. My name is Saj, and this is my channel where I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about somebody new on this channel, JoJo Siwa. Now, if you don't know who JoJo Siwa is, she started on Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, then she escalated to Dance Moms. Then, I don't know what happened in between, but then she signed a deal with Nickelodeon and she became an icon for everybody under the age of 5. And now she's just kind of like in this in-between where like, she's kind of like that average child star where they don't know if they're like, should play up that kid role or, you know, but still trying to break out into that adult lifestyle. JoJo Siwa has been all over TikTok and it's not been cute, but we're gonna be talking about her today. And in 2022, JoJo and her mother, Jesslyn, which if you've seen Dance Moms and Abby's Ultimate, you've definitely seen Jesslyn. But JoJo and Jesslyn got together in 2022 to create the show Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution, which is a mouthful, definitely not marketable. And it premiered on Peacock, and it was basically making the band, kind of like how P. Diddy had that TV show where he would find a bunch of girls and put them together in a group. That's what essentially this was, but for children. And the group was ultimately called XOMG Pop Girls. Before I get into the allegations behind this girl group, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. My new subscriber goal is 350 this month. So if you'd like to help me on my journey, that would be great. And you could stay updated on all of pop culture. Make sure that you are liking and sharing if you care, and comment your opinions down below. What do you think about all of these allegations? So let's start with the group member that is making these allegations. So we have Leah Sanderson. Now, the first time I personally have seen Leah Sanderson was on Dancing Queen. I am a big Drag Race fan, and one of the Drag Race contestants, Alyssa Edwards, was given an opportunity on Netflix to create her own version of Dance Moms, which is called Dancing Queen on Netflix. Leah was showcased on that show, and we know from that moment she had an issue with her health. She was diagnosed with spina bifida, and it was really difficult for her to dance, and that was kind of like her whole storyline on that specific show. Alyssa Edwards, her studio, even went on to compete on America's Got Talent, and Leah was also showcased in that. This young girl is given the opportunity to dance after her very traumatic diagnosis. She gets to be on reality television, she gets to be on America's Got Talent. Then Alyssa, aka Justin Johnson, approaches Leah and is like, hey, I want you to submit a resume for this casting call for this TV show called Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution. And Leah would ultimately get to star alongside JoJo Siwa and her mother, Jesslyn. Let's talk about OMG Pop Girls. This OMG Pop Girls band was kind of positioned to be the next Kids Bop, you know, very bubblegum, sunshine, lollipops, rainbows. Very much like how JoJo started at that age. All the girls were around, I believe, 12 to 14. It's supposed to be marketed towards little kids who are obviously interested in that, especially, you know, the best person to learn that from is JoJo Siwa herself, the queen of rainbows. You know, at this point, JoJo is a marketing queen, coming up with different hair pieces, bows. She has books, dolls, accessories, clothing, anything that you can think of, JoJo has her name on it. So JoJo decides to take this group of young girls and form them into what she used to be back in the day when she was younger. Even Just said that at some point she wanted her daughter to be the next Hannah Montana. And that's exactly what she did, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. But they did that, and now they want to recreate the same type of success that Miley Cyrus saw, then JoJo Siwa saw. Now they're trying to trickle it down to these little girls. And of course, Leah's like, yeah, I would love to be a part of this. This is so cool. If you are a dancer, cheerleader, anything of the sorts, you've definitely seen Dance Moms. I know I have. And she was a fan of JoJo Siwa, especially being the age that she was. She was 14 when she got signed, when she was younger, she was definitely watching JoJo Siwa on Nickelodeon and listening to her music. So she applies to be a part of this group from somebody that she idolizes, and she gets in. So she's absolutely, you know, excited to be a part of this. Anjie, Leah's mother, did not agree with this decision at first. She was, you know, I have to leave my 3 kids at home while I go to LA. Leah's still a minor. It's still definitely difficult to maneuver when she is that young. She would also have to shut down the daycare that she had up and running to make sure that her daughter had the opportunity to live out her dreams in LA. And, you know, her and her husband decided that at that point, it's definitely not an opportunity that you want to miss out. So they actually jump on it, and they make the decision to join the OMG Pop girls on this TV show, Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution TV show. I'm sorry, that was a horrible name. I know JoJo came up with that on her own. Awful name. And for the next 2 years, Leah got to live out her dream as a child pop star, getting to dance and sing on world tours and just living her best life. But behind the scenes, it was not all sunshine and roses like they sing. Apparently, the children were subjected to long rehearsal hours. They would forget to give the children school breaks with very poor compensation, which was all at the hands of allegedly JoJo, which kind of sucks, because if you see all of the stuff that these kids are doing, not only on stage, but off stage, they are also branded very well. They are all over TikTok. They get their own sponsorships and brand deals individually. So the fact that they're being poorly compensated is absolutely ridiculous, especially in 2023 to 2024. We have learned from our mistakes in the industry. Start compensating those children well. Anjie, Leah's mother, also alleges that Jocelyn tried to convince Anjie and Leah to go to a music video shoot weeks after she had gotten spinal surgery, because remember, this child does have a chronic illness. So they actually agreed to bring Leah to this music video shoot, and that is when Leah started bleeding from her belly button. And Jocelyn just said, you know, throw a maxi pad on there so it doesn't get on the costume. Honestly, watching Dance Moms, it just doesn't feel like a far off thing for her to say. But this is all alleged. JoJo, don't sue me. This is all alleged. They also allege that Jocelyn was very verbally abusive to the girls, calling them different names and shaming Leah for having a disability. And they also claim that JoJo played a huge role in the cutthroat environment off camera, pitting girls against each other, picking favorites, which is just so ironic, which I'll circle back to later. According to Rolling Stone, they obtained multiple different sources from JoJo herself, like text messages, emails, etc., etc. And apparently she was constantly waving a fame carrot over these children's faces, only to berate them and encourage them to cry on camera. And allegedly, the moms and kids would come home after a long day of being tormented with different candy baskets and different consoles in there, like a Nintendo Switch, for example. So because things were so rocky in this girl group, Leah and Anjie confided in another studio owner, and I guess this studio owner eventually started speaking to other people. Word got around very quickly, and ultimately Leah was fired after her confiding in another dance studio owner. Anjie says, and I quote, "Leah and I were in a dark place for months and months, and I don't think we were healthy enough to speak about. Now that we have time to recover and heal from it, we're in a place where we are ready to share and tell people about everything." Of course, since these allegations have came to light, JoJo has made a statement through her lawyer, basically denying all allegations, which is absolutely expected in any of these type of situations. You're not going to fess up to it immediately. And this is actually what his response was. "These allegations are 100% provably false. Voluminous and irrefutable evidence will tell you all you need to know, that a disgruntled momager's own abusive behavior caused her daughter to be asked not to return to the group." What? He states, "Jess Siwa was protecting the staff, the other girls, and their families, which she will continue to do ferociously and unapologetically." And even though the girl group was doing very well, they even had their own bedline on Amazon. These kids had a fucking cruise. Like, these kids were literally on top of the world. But for some reason, this group just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping members. And people have been questioning why. And JoJo still hasn't came out and talked about why these kids are no longer a part of her group, especially because JoJo portrays herself online as such a innocent and sweet person, but it's looking like behind the scenes she's not that great to work with. Two children by the name of Bella and Kinley did end up leaving the group after Leah, but the current members only have rave reviews for Jessalyn and JoJo, stating that JoJo is their big sister and Jessalyn has only taken care of them financially. So do with that information what you will. To me, it sounds like these parents don't have any other avenue as far as finance, so they're kind of stuck trying to play this role in this OMG Pop girl group, and it's not really panning out right now because they can't keep losing members. Then what? It's gonna be one? Or they're gonna keep adding people and it's just gonna be awkward to have new people all the time? What's gonna happen moving forward? And I just feel bad for Leah and Anjie because honestly, with JoJo's fake persona online and thinking that you're going into such a warm and welcoming place and not realizing that you're going to have to sacrifice a lot, including your child's mental health, for them to live out their dreams is just not an ideal situation. It's honestly really sad because I feel like it would be easy for any parent to be like, yeah, JoJo Siwa, like, it would be fabulous working with her. She's so great. And like behind the scenes, she's not. They even talked about the environment on the actual TV show, not just in the girl group, but on the actual TV show that they started on. They alleged that the girls were subjected to so many different types of abuse. Jessalyn even went as far as to make fun of another child with hypertonia, which means they have a low muscle volume. They also mocked her for her arms and her legs and how she looked. And they also mocked her speech, which again, so fucking ironic, right? I can get that for free and this for free and that for free, and only the real ones will fucking know. Because isn't that ironic that these people are making fun of somebody else's speech? But JoJo was made fun of her speech for like years. They claim that the TV show made Anjie look like a crazy stage mom, which honestly, what do you expect on a produced television show like that? They also allege that they had to pay for everything on their own, including transportation, food, which is really expensive in LA. I've never been, but I can only imagine it's like up there with New York. And they weren't reimbursed for anything, which again is so expensive. And she also claims that these children were not paid adequately for their individual portions of the girl group, so including individual music videos, individual photo shoots, individual brand deals. They weren't paid for them. And that they signed a contract that stated that upon their arrival of this girl group that they're going to receive a payout of $10,000, which they end up only getting $4,000 because apparently Jessalyn had to pay for their Airbnb, so they weren't adequately paid. But also like, Jess, like, you're the manager. This was your idea. They're paying for everything else. You're only gonna give them 40% of what they earned on that TV show. Because they were sucked dry of any money, Anjie alleges that right after they left the group, they were forced to sleep on an air mattress in Kinley, which is one of the girls I brought up earlier, in Kinley's dance studio, which again is so fucked. At least send them home if you're gonna fire them. Like, at least give them a plane ticket back, because you have to remember this mom also had to shut down her daycare, which is probably her main source of income, to make sure that her daughter had this dream. She goes there, you treat her like shit, and then you fire her. And then now they're like stranded in LA. They even alleged at this point, one mother took it upon herself to actually start working for Jessalyn because they were that broke. She was organizing JoJo's closet, scrubbing toilets, just so they can make ends meet is absolutely insane to me. Said that they were subjected to such grueling hours So the girls would get their call times after midnight and then have like a 9-hour workday, which is, again, buck wild. And again, they were not going to school on those 9-hour days because how could you? Leah was actually only able to complete 6 hours of school a month, which regular public school, you're in school for 7 hours a day. So 6 hours a month, you're not doing anything. You're not. Just like let that sink in. 6 hours a month. I do have to mention that the teacher on set of these shoots actually denied these allegations, stating that none of the parents actually complained about the girls being overworked, which, as what we've seen, why would they? And this teacher actually states that the Siwa team is very professional and very child-center focused, which of course they would have to say something like that because you work for them. Of course they're going to say that. The girls were subjected to make all types of content, including YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat content. They were not adequately paid or compensated for those times making the content. They create this incentive. This incentive consisted of whoever's TikTok got the most views, they would win a $500 prize, which I can only imagine how cutthroat that would be if these parents are fighting for their lives as far as money goes. They are struggling. So then they're pushing their kids to make the best content. And that's trickling down to the kids. I just can't imagine how that would be just to win $500. That tells you that they were barely compensated at all if they were fighting that hard for $500. The girls even talk about this one moment where they were doing a show in Michigan and they were performing with a headset in, and JoJo was screaming in the headset that you suck, you're lazy, it's sloppy, yada yada yada. So just more scenarios where they're talking about the toxic work environment. So at some point, Anjie decides that she needs to start advocating for her daughter and her daughter's health. So that's when she started to clash with the Siwas and the other mothers, to the point where they even put her on probation, which again, so ironic, so like crazy to think about. We're, like I said, circling back, but what? Since Anjie was essentially getting on Jess's nerve, that's when she, was in the talks of disbanding her from the group, if you will. And that's when Anjie even came up with a solution to even set guardianship of her older daughter for Leah, so she could still be a part of the group without Anjie being around, or even to the other mothers. And Jesselyn still did not like that seemingly great solution to Jesselyn's problem with this lady. And eventually, like I said earlier, Leah was released from the group. Now, a huge issue that arose after Leah's departure was the fact that Leah's face was still all over branding after the fact. They weren't paying them adequately. So they had the money in the bank to re-merchandise with this kid's face off of it, but you're still selling her likeliness. The contract was given up immediately. That means there was no contractual obligation for that child's face to be used on any of the merchandise, but they still continued to do it and profit off of her after the fact. At least compensate her appropriately if you are going to use her face for branding. The Sandersons still haven't been properly compensated for Leah's likeliness being used after she left the group. At this point, there's only 3 original group members and 1 person that they added on this past fall, which is really sad because they really did start out at 7 and then you had a bunch of girls leave. Maybe you're the problem. But luckily, after the fact, after everything that poor Leah has gone through, after months of depression after the fact, she is now a brand ambassador for a clothing store. She is now back in school, back in dance, and kind of just living her best life as best as she can with her diagnosis, which is really, really happy to hear. I still don't like the fact that they still haven't compensated her for her use of her face after releasing her. And it's not like it was like a few weeks after. They were still using her face until December of that year. She was let go in May. I just think everything that has been said is super ironic, right? Because it's not far off. We remember JoJo being on Dance Moms and being bullied horrendously. But she was also bullied by not only her dance teacher, Abby Lee, she was also bullied by the other girls on the team for her speech. She was told continuously that she's not good and not as good as the other dancers on the team.
Because I feel sad for your little girl, because she is going to grow up thinking that she's it. And when somebody out in that big bad world makes fun of her, she's going to lose it.
And all of these tactics that she's using are from Dance Moms. Like the whole probation shit, Abby used to use that shit all the time. I think JoJo was on probation at some point. The making fun of the girl's speech. JoJo was made fun of for her speech for years. Grueling hours of dance without school. That was happening on Dance Moms for years. And the fact that JoJo is like passing it down is kind of wild. But not only that, is that she's still very, very close to Abby. They are still super close, which is really weird because all of the original cast members don't fuck with Abby at all. But she's the only one that is extremely close with them and close with her. It's hard to explain because we see her interacting with the originals who have been scorned by Abby. They were treated horrifically on that show. And now JoJo is best of friends with Abby and best of friends with the girls who do not like Abby. Like, she's getting the best of both worlds. And some people may attribute it to, you know, hurt people. But at some point you have to be the change that you want to see. And what happened to JoJo on those shows, not okay. But then to continue this cycle, also not okay. Again, all of this is alleged. We don't know if JoJo actually did this. I mean, there's a lot of proof coming from Rolling Stone, but until JoJo is sued by Leah and her mother, we really won't know what really happened. We have to see everything play out. I'm really interested to see how this is going to move forward. Is JoJo gonna file a lawsuit? I mean, she is already talking through her lawyer. So is JoJo gonna, come up with a lawsuit for defamation? Is Anjie and Leah going to sue? Because they absolutely should, but do they have the money for it? JoJo does. So it's a very tricky situation, and honestly, I hope we can get more people talking about this to potentially get Leah and the other OMG Pop girls the recognition and the justice that they deserve, because what they went through, at least from Leah's point of view, was not. And it's crazy, like, Abby used to pin the girls against each other all of the time. Especially like Maddie and Chloe, all of the time. JoJo, I don't know who was like her big person that she was pinned against, but she definitely witnessed it and experienced it. Maybe it was Mackenzie, I don't know. But let me know what you think down below. How do you think this is gonna play out? I hope that the other OMG Pop girls come forward and tell their story on how they feel about the situation. But other than that, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. I want to hit 350 this month, so help me with that. Make sure that you are sharing and liking, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. What do you think of this entire mess? And I'll see you in the next one.